Welcome to the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. You can catch us Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific on FS1. Here's what this podcast is all about. It's an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the day's show, and there is a lot to get into in today's podcast. Skip would like to see Dak and Zeke play for a half on Sunday for his Cowboys. Shannon says just give a person money and power and they'll show you who they are, to describe Richard Sherman's newest antics. Skip and Shannon debate who is the best coach in the college football playoff and LeBron's reaction to the NBA's 2-minute report of the Christmas Day game. Hall of Famer Chris Carter has some harsh insight on Dez Bryant and tells Dez not to DM him anymore on Twitter. Any ideas on how we should start today, Skip?
I thought we'd start the show with that "How About Them Cowboys" video.
No,
just to get you in the proper mood.
I
right?
have a feeling like we might see it today.
We might?
Yeah.
We might.
I mean, we've seen it 5 times over the last 2 days. Come on now.
My friend LeBron got in touch with me last night and said he's upset that he wasn't in the video because he's the #1 Cowboy fan.
Bron says he wants nothing to do with Skip Bayless.
Well, we'll get to LeBron later. Let's get it started in Seattle. Pete Carroll said he expected Richard Sherman to apologize to the media for his actions last week when he threatened to, quote, ruin a media member's career and have his credentials taken away. However, yesterday, Sherman declined to hold his weekly press conference. Instead, Sherman spoke at his locker saying, it's a privilege to have me up there. You're going to miss me when I'm gone. Shannon, Richard Sherman and Pete Carroll don't seem to be on the same page lately. What's your take on this situation?
Skip, I looked up the definition of privilege. And it is a special right, advantage, or immunity granted or available to only a particular person or a group of people. Being invited to hear Dr. Maya Angelou, the late Dr. Maya Angelou, read poetry would be considered a privilege. Mm-hmm. Hearing a private set by John Legend or Sade would be considered a privilege. Mm-hmm. Doing something that 70 other guys do every week for 16 weeks and then the 4 weeks into the playoffs is not a privilege. Richard Sherman has it all wrong. The privilege is his because he gets an opportunity to play in the National Football League, and he's one of the 70 guys that are selected to speak to the media.
He is.
That's the privilege. You see, if you really want to know what a person is about or who a person truly is, give them money, give them power, and they will reveal to you who they actually are. This has always been Richard Sherman. But the 4th-round draft pick or the 5th-round draft pick didn't have this power. He didn't have the money. He didn't have the cachet to stand up and say the things that he's saying now. But now he has money. Now he has power. He feels emboldened. Pete Carroll, this is what you started. So you can't get mad at him because you've allowed them to be this outspoken. You see, a lot of the problems that I have with Richard Sherman, because I think he's very thoughtful. I mean, any young man that can come from Compton, California, not only attend Stanford, but graduate from Stanford. Mm-hmm. But Richard Sherman's problem is, if he doesn't feel that you're on his level academically or intellectually, you're beneath him. He's very, very condescending. He's very, very arrogant. And that kind of rubs me the wrong way because they're there to do a job. I can assure you some of them would rather be doing something else. But this is the line of work that they chose. They don't come to do their job to have you talk down to them, to have you feel that you can say whatever you want to say to them because you are in the power position. Because they're coming to hear you talk. You're right, Richard. They're coming to hear what you have to say. But for you to take this stance, it started last week where he felt the reporter was out of line. Richard let it get personal. And it can never get personal. You could easily say, no comment, and move on. But he took it to a place that it didn't need to go. And then when he got the blowback, this is what he's doing. He's getting the blowback now because everybody felt he was wrong to threaten the guy's job. Now, maybe he meant it tongue in cheek. Maybe he thought he could actually get it done. But Pete was like, you ain't pulling no. Look, we've allowed you to say a lot of things, but you don't have that kind of cachet. And so now, but he's real, real petty. And it's a shame that it's come to this because he's a very thoughtful, he thinks a lot about the things that he's going to say. But for him to say it's a privilege to hear him talk when 70 other guys do the very same thing every single week, he has it in reverse. The privilege is his, not theirs.
I want to remind our audience that every word our audience just heard came from the mouth of a man who's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And I would suggest that in part you got there because you embraced the privilege that was yours on a weekly basis to speak to the media. And you chose to use that platform to display your verbal skills, right?
Yes.
And your intelligence and your wittiness and all of the above to show people that you could speak as well as you played, which got you a platform at CBS. And then here we are.
Here we
right?
are. Correct.
Okay. So I want to keep that in perspective here. And now back to Richard Sherman. At what point does Richard Sherman become more trouble than he's worth to Pete Carroll and the Seahawks franchise?
When his productions drop.
Correct. But I think we're starting to approach that because for a long time, Richard has been a big reason this team has won.
Yes.
Fair to say? I think he's been one of the top couple, three corners in the league.
Absolutely.
Maybe occasionally played at the top of the league as a cornerback. And now he's becoming, to me, a reason that this team is starting to teeter and wobble. Obviously, they lost Earl Thomas on December 4th, but with Richard Sherman, even though he's still playing at a high level, we all agree with that, every week it's something new with Richard Sherman, right?
Yep.
At one point, it got so bad on the field that you concluded he has become a dirty football player, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What was that, maybe 3-4 weeks
Yep.
ago? And certainly, I said the day after that LA Rams game that I'd never seen anything like this, that a defensive player in the course of a football game, while the team had the ball, went to the head coach during a challenge, because there's a stoppage of play,
Correct.
and said, that last play call is unacceptable. You will not do that again. You will run the football on the next play. Have you ever heard that? A defensive player, now maybe a receiver would have issue. I'm not sure he'd take issue straight with the head coach. He'd probably do it with the quarterback or the receivers coach.
Pete Carroll should have ordered Darrell Bevel to call another pass play.
Should have. I agree.
To let him know you're only running your mouth. You don't run the show here at Seattle.
Exactly, because it came across that Richard now believes he has veto power as a defensive back over the offensive plays called. And just to refresh everybody's memory, they had 1st and goal at the 1, and they chose to throw it to as good a red zone target as there is in the league, Jimmy Graham, who's, what is he, 6'7"?
6'7".
Yeah. And he was being covered by a linebacker named Bryce Hager, and the pass was right on the money, but Bryce Hager made a great play and sort of snatched it back from him, and I thought he got his feet down.
Right.
So challenged by the Rams, overruled, they lost, so it's now 2nd goal at the 1. And guess what? Richard got his wish, and they gave it to Marcel Reese, all 250 pounds of him, and he went nowhere. 0. And on 3rd down, they just decided to split Doug Baldwin out to the left on some undrafted free agent backup cornerback. Remember how badly he smoked him on a little in and out? You know, it was like a joke, and it was just a little quick pitch and catch for the third down touchdown. Wow. Okay, so it looked like Richard was wrong, and wrong again on that one. And usually Richard, high football IQ, is right on that. So we both said the next day, man, Pete Carroll's got to do something about this. He's got to win back his authority. He's got to, right? So clearly, Pete Carroll said, I did talk to Richard. I did talk to the team about it. And Pete Carroll said on Wednesday that on Thursday, yesterday, I'm sorry, what are we? We're up to Thursday. So he said Wednesday, that Richard Sherman would do his weekly sit down with the media and that he would, quote unquote, apologize. And Richard Sherman opted not only not to apologize, he opted not to even do the session, except standing at his locker saying, it's a privilege and you're going to miss me when I'm gone. Well, that's openly defying the authority, again, the way I see it. I'm not there. I'm not on the inside. But doesn't it come across to you as that?
That's absolutely. If the head coach says you're going to do something and he's let it be known publicly that Richard Sherman was going to apologize. Not only did he not apologize, he refused to do what he had done the previous 16 weeks, which is come before the media and talk.
Okay. Now, back to your point about privilege. Look, has it been good for the media to have Richard Sherman do every Wednesday during the football season? Sure it has, because he can be intelligent. We all know this. Intelligent, insightful, eloquent, refreshingly candid, all of the above, right? Has it been great for Richard Sherman to do those sessions?
Absolutely.
Has the media helped make Richard Sherman? Has he used the media to make himself a household word? Remember, I'm going all the way back to 2012. Remember, he verbally went after Tom Brady on the field after the.
You mad, bro?
Yeah, you got that one. Boom. And that got him a lot of attention. Then he went after Darrelle Revis and Roddy White on Twitter. And then he went after me on a show on the old network, right?
And then he had some harsh words about Crabtree in the NFC Championship game.
Did he? Oh, and that was a blast on national TV, right? So he used us to further himself. He put himself in a very prominent household name position, and then, to his credit, he backed it up with his play on the field. But now we're to this question. It appears that controversy has often fueled this football team, like it thrives on controversy. But I can tell you from covering this game for a long, long time, too much controversy will destroy a football team, especially in December. Are we coming to that point, which is our next question, right?
Right, well, let's do that. Staying in Seattle, the Seahawks have lost 2 out of their last 3 after their home loss to the Cardinals. They can still get a first-round bye with a win on Sunday and a Falcons loss. So, Shannon, the Seahawks are your pick to get to the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Well, they were.
They
Do you still believe in them?
I do, because the same type of defiance that you see from Richard Sherman this is what this team is based on. Because they believe that once the playoff starts, and for the last 4 years since these core guys, the Richard Shermans, the Cam Chancellor, the Russell Wilsons, the Bobby Wagners, and the KJ Wright, since they've been together, they've always had a nice playoff run. And if you want to get to and win the Super Bowl on the NFC side, in the last 4 years, you've had to go through them. Whether you had to go to their building or you had to face them at some point in time. But the road over the last 4 years had to go through Seattle.
Yep.
And they are a very, very proud bunch of guys over there. They're defiant. And when you doubt them, they come together. They will rally. Now, they're going to have to run the football and play a little better offense, because this is not the same defense. Once Earl Thomas got hurt, and I call Earl Thomas the best makeup artist in the NFL, because any blemishes that they had on defense, he could cover them up. Well, he's not there now. And those blemishes, they get exposed, and everybody get an opportunity to see them. Because before you can blink an eye, they were down 31-18 to Arizona. Now, they came back and took the lead. Guy missed the PAT, but they still had a 1-point lead. And Carson Palmer politely marched them down the field against the Legion of Boom. Now, minus Earl Thomas. So with that being said, the offense, they can't count on that defense holding people to 10 and 13 points. Russell Wilson's going to have to be great every game in order for them to win. They're going to have to run the football a lot better than what they're doing, because if you ask Russell to throw the football 40, 45 times behind that offensive line, it's not going to end well, Skip. It's not going to end well. But I believe in this team. I believe Pete Carroll will talk to these guys. And the Richard Sherman thing, I'll be surprised if he didn't come out and talk today and say, hey, guys, I'm sorry. We're moving forward. He doesn't want this lingering over him, because he knows it's going to come until he addresses the issue. It's going to come up, but you don't want it coming up in the playoffs. You want to be talking about football, X's and O's, and what you need to do to advance into the divisional round.
So just so I get it straight, of all the NFC threats to my Dallas Cowboys, this is your number one threat today anyway, or just so I know?
I just believe that this team,
and
what they've been made up over the last 4 years, I still believe when the rubber meets the road, they will show what they're made of.
Okay. I do respect you sticking by that, because I would be foolish to write off this team at this moment. This team has proven too much over the last 3, or maybe you could say 4 years, but certainly 3 years. Been there and done all of that too much, too many times to just say, they're dead in the water as we approach January 1st in the playoffs. But I told you before, and I'm going to stand by this, they're not nearly as threatening to me as they were in November. In November, I'm not going to say I feared them, but I was concerned about them. Let's just say I'm far less concerned now. Richard Sherman is a big part of that. But when I look at what they've done in this month, when you go to Green Bay and not just lose to a team with a mediocre defense, as we talked about, team that was struggling a little bit at that point, even on offense, to sort of re-find itself, and you lose 38-10, and then that Rams game we spoke of, you and I both agreed, they were not impressive. The final score looks fairly impressive, 24-3, but it's misleading because, as we talked about at that point, that first and goal point, it was just 10-3 in the third quarter.
And the Rams, the guy dropped a touchdown early in the ball game that could have put up 7-0.
And then the scary factor is what you just mentioned about this game against Arizona, which was at home, where they have been obviously as dominant as anybody.
Unbeatable, yes.
Yeah, almost unbeatable. So they lost that game, and not only that, but they gave up 34 points at home. So since they lost Earl Thomas, they're 23rd in the league in points allowed, and that counts allowing only 3 to one team. But 38, 3, and 34 is what you've allowed. So those are bad signs in the month of December. You should be streaking into the playoffs, and they're teetering into the playoffs. They're sort of backing into the playoffs. And I remind you again, on the road, they're 2-4-1. They've never been a great road team. They have been at times a good road team, but this year they're not very good. And Russell Wilson is much better at home than he is on the road, and his QBR has fallen this year to the middle of the pack. He's 14th in QBR. So the point is, do I have concern about them? Do I still think in my heart of hearts that it's going to come down to my Cowboys against the Seahawks for the Super Bowl? I do, but it's going to be at Jerry World. And I like my chances at Jerry World against a team without Earl Thomas back there as their spiritual leader of that secondary.
Well, normally what would happen, they would get 2 games.
Yeah.
I mean, at home.
Yeah.
Especially if they're the wild card, they would play, at home. But now they get 1 game. Now you're going to have to go to maybe Atlanta or Green Bay or Dallas. So instead of playing Dallas to get to the Super Bowl, you might have to play Dallas to advance to the NFC Championship game. And so you want the least resistance possible. So that's what you try and navigate. You try and say, okay, look at what Dallas has been, one of the better teams in the NFC for the entire season. I don't want to have to play them to try to get to the NFC Championship game. I want to put all the marbles on the table to go to the Super Bowl. But now, because they've played so bad, now, if you remember, Skip, in 2013, they lost 2 of their last 4 games, and they still ended up winning the Super Bowl. So this team knows what it takes. They can get right, but this is not the type of Seattle team that we're used to seeing, especially late December, heading into January.
Well, it's a big weekend for them. They can still get a first-round bye with a win over the 49ers and a Falcons loss to the Saints. No mercy. The Cowboys have already clinched home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs. However, Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott both said they want to play the full game Sunday against the Eagles. Shannon?
Yes.
Richard Jefferson fouled. LeBron deserved a technical. But how much should Dak and Zeke play Sunday?
Zeke shouldn't play at all. Because he has a boatload of carries on those legs, and you only gave him 12 carries in the last ball game. And if you rest him this game, that's more carries, that's more of a workload that you can give him during the playoffs because he's going to be needed. Dak, I would play Dak at the bare minimum 1 quarter, but I'm trying to get him at least to the half. Because here's the thing, Skip, he's a young rookie quarterback, and the quarterback position is all about rhythm and timing. If you do not play him this game, so that's 1 week goes by. They get the bye. So he doesn't play until the divisional round. That's 3 weeks for a young quarterback who's in a great rhythm currently. And you don't want to upset that rhythm or timing. The running back position, Skip tossing the ball, he's going to run to the open hole. And Zeke has a lot of carries on those legs. He's over 320 carries, another 34 receiving. So he's over 350 touches. So now if you rest him, considering that you've only given him 12 carries last week, so now 2 weeks, he's only carried the ball 12 times. And plus he gets the bye week. So now if you want to give him the ball 30 times, because like you said, they get 2 games, win 2 games, and you're going to Houston. So if you want to pile him up 60 carries, 65 carries over the next 2 weeks, have at it. But I would play Dak Prescott at the bare minimum of a quarter, but I'm trying to get him at least to the half because I don't want to upset that rhythm and timing. But I also know Tyron Smith is not going to play this week. And so that might factor into their decision.
It does.
But, Skip, you got to play this young man because he is a rhythm. He plays a rhythm and timing position, and he's in a great rhythm right now, and I don't really want to upset that.
All kidding aside, I highly respect your opinion on this because you have definitely been here and done this a number of times.
Yes.
And you've seen it play out both ways. You tried hard, you didn't play, you didn't. Are you ready? Are you not ready?
Right.
I am extremely conflicted about Sunday at Philadelphia, and I'll tell you why. I used to cover the Dallas Cowboys for many, many years, and I went to many, many games at what used to be called the Vet. You know, remember? Did you ever play there?
Oh, I did. The turf was terrible.
Terrible. And it was a house of horrors for the Dallas Cowboys because just to sum this up for you, there are three rivals, obviously, in the NFC East. And there's some respect to the Redskins rivalry, and there's some respect to the Giants-Cowboys rivalry. There is no respect on this one. This is abject hatred. This is for blood, and bad things can happen to Dallas Cowboys in this game. And I give you, remember what happened to Michael Irvin back in 1999, November
His neck.
10th? Remember this? Do we have this play? If we have it, I'm not sure we got it, but we didn't get this one. But the point is, if you remember him just crumpled on the turf, that was the last we saw of the great Michael Irvin. I think he's the greatest receiver ever played. I know Jerry Rice has another case to make, but that's just me. But anyway, that ended his career, spinal injury against the Eagles.
Remember the Bounty Bowl too.
Do I? Now that was at Dallas, but that was Buddy Ryan, and yet. Last year, when I thought the Cowboys had a chance to repeat what they did in 2014 after they beat the Giants thanks to a Romo clutch late pass to Jason Witten on opening night at Jerry World, they go to Philadelphia for game 2. They're riding high up 13-0, and I'm pretty sure we do have this play. You know what happened to Tony Romo? Here we went. Boom. Jordan Hicks, kid from Texas, falls on him. I thought it was a cheap shot, but once again, broken collarbone. Up. There he is, hand on collarbone. He's gone. That's it. He wasn't back until Thanksgiving.
The moment he went down, Skip, I knew he had broken his collarbone because I broke my collarbone the exact same way.
Really?
I got pinned and snapped, and I knew it immediately. See, the thing is for me, Skip, and I always wanted to play in the last game, but I wanted to play for selfish reasons. You know, because I was going into the 96, we had everything clinched. We had the first round bye, and I wanted to play against San Diego because I wanted to get 1,100 yards receiving. I wanted maybe because I was like, if I can get 1,100 yards, that'll mean something. In 2003, I had like 67 catches, like 770 yards. And I was like, if I can get 800 yards in year 14, I think that'd be pretty good. But I was being selfish. And I tell guys, when I talk to college kids, football players, or pro, I says it's okay to be selfish. If you want to be an all-pro, you want to go to the Pro Bowl, you want to win MVP, do it. But it can never supersede those goals of the team. The goal of the Dallas Cowboys is to get to and win the Super Bowl.
Correct.
And Ezekiel Elliott possibly breaking Eric Dickerson's record, Dak Prescott possibly tying or breaking the rookie touchdown record for passes. Those are all secondary to the number one goal of the Dallas Cowboys, which is get to and win the Super Bowl.
Okay.
So if this gives you the best chance, resting these young men, this is what you have to do. And you have to say your goals, although important, take a back seat to the ultimate goal.
Now, here's the opposite position. Jerry Jones said a couple of weeks ago that he still smarts from the game that they played in the last game in 2007 when they had also, as you recall, they clinched the number one seed. And they had to go to Washington on December 30th, and they chose not to play anybody, which gave them that week off basically, and then a week off, and then another week. So it's like 3 weeks before you play a game that really, really counts, which happened to be an Eli Manning game at the old Texas Stadium. And you know what happened. Eli 21, Romo and Terrell Owens 17. And that was the end of that team.
Well, that was when they went to, Mexico?
Cancun. They went to Cancun.
Jessica Simpson?
Yeah, Jessica. Jason Witten and his wife, and they went to Cancun. And
You didn't
I
like
didn't
that
like
team
it.
that year.
I hated that.
They had them boots that's made for walking?
They all the way to Cancun. So Jerry said he learned a lesson that you should go ahead and play football in the last game. So I'm with him. And so I went into this week thinking, okay, they took care of their business against Detroit. That was impressive. And they got to feel real good about themselves after that game. But now you're going into House of Horrors with a decimated defensive line. They got beat up in the defensive line. Nobody's going to play. They had to sign some guy off the Jacksonville practice squad just to have a body to play this game. And as you say, the left tackle, the all-pro left tackle, is not going to play because he sprained his knee. So now what do you do with the quarterback and the running back? My gut is they should play at least a half. That's just me, just to stay in rhythm.
Skip, I wouldn't play Zeke because you have Morris, you have Dunbar, you also had McFadden that came back and played well.
I mean, he's now the number 2 guy.
See, the thing is, if you take Dak down and they already said they don't want Romo to actually play, so if you just have
Sanchez.
So basically you got Sanchez.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So why not just have Dak play to the half, Sanchez take it over, Zeke, you're not even dressing. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't even bring Zeke. McFadden, Dunbar, Morris.
Okay, Zeke did make the point yesterday that he's actually played fewer games in pro football than he did last year at Ohio State. He just, because the games are longer in college football where you're up to, you're playing like 80 plays a game. In this time, because they've been pretty good about resting him. McFadden or maybe Alfred Morris, whoever's taken over a few series a game, maybe 3 series. So he says he feels fresher now than he did last year at Ohio State. I don't know if he's just saying that.
Yes.
But to me, you should play it like you do the dress rehearsal 3rd preseason game, where you do let them go ahead and play for extended snaps. The mitigating factor, the X factor, is no left tackle.
Right.
And you don't want to get your quarterback blasted and hurt. And you don't want to have a repeat of Tony Romo.
But the thing is with Zeke has 34 more carries than any other running back in the NFL.
No.
He's over 350 touches. So if he had 12 touches last week, you don't play him this week, Skip, that's a workload you could add to his plate come playoff time. You're going to need him.
As long as he doesn't lose a little edge and a little momentum.
No, I think he'll be fine because running back, we all agree, is the easiest position to translate from high school to college, from college to pro, because all you're doing is just taking the ball and running the daylight. And they do a great job of getting him to the second level, and then he can make people miss. He can also run over people. But playing in the college football, I mean, you might play Purdue, you might play Ohio State, and if you make the playoffs, you'll play in Alabama. But they only have like 7 or 8 guys that make it to the pros. All the pros are pros. So they hit a little harder. For me, this is the way I would handle it. Dak, you play to the half. Zeke, you're not playing at all. And I'm just crossing my fingers that nothing happens to Dak. But I can't give this young man 3 weeks off. Not him. I mean, you saw how it affected Tony Romo. He was the same quarterback as he was in 2007. He had a pretty good year. But Dak is younger. And so I would not give him 3 weeks off. I agree. I just wouldn't.
So, Joy, I got a question for you. Should I trust this man's insight into my Cowboys, his strategic sort of suggestion for my team because he is such a hater? Is this somehow, is he trying to sabotage me?
I wouldn't.
He does like Dak and Zeke, though. He's overall Cowboy hater, but I do think he likes Dak and Zeke.
For sure. I don't know about Dak.
I like Dak.
You're
I like
hot
that.
and cold.
Because every time he played Alabama, I always chalked it up to a win.
No mercy. The NBA announced earlier this week that the refs made 2 mistakes in the final 2 minutes of the Cavs' win over the Warriors on Sunday. The NBA said LeBron James should have been assessed a technical foul for hanging on the rim after his dunk. They also said that Richard Jefferson made, quote, foot-to-foot contact with Kevin Durant on the final play. LeBron responded to the report yesterday. Let's take a listen.
It's not fair to the referees that you only talk about the final 2 minutes of the game and not the first 46. There's plays that's missed, there's plays that's called throughout 48 minutes that don't get talked about. First of all, me hanging on the rim had nothing to do with the play. It was a timeout and a foul. So I could be hanging on the rim all the way until the game is replayed. It doesn't matter. So why would it be a technical in that point? I get it if I dunked the ball, there was still, play was still in session and nobody was up underneath me. Then I get that, but it was a timeout plus a foul. And to say that it should have been a foul on RJ, there was hands on bodies the whole game. It's a physical game. That's what the fans wanted to see. It's the referees. They called a great game throughout the game. There were some calls here that could have went a different way. But there were some calls that they made that was great calls too. So, but I'm not a fan of the last 2 minute rule of putting it out to people that usually don't watch the game into the fourth quarter anyways.
Skip, should LeBron have said this?
I guess LeBron can say whatever he wants to say because I guess now LeBron thinks he's bigger than the league. And maybe he is. In your eyes, he is the league, right? He's the whole show. Huh? I'm a hater? Wait, did you say he's the commissioner? I couldn't.
Hater.
Okay, he's the commissioner of the NBA. Maybe he will be. Maybe he'll be the first player commissioner of the NBA. That would be a first for your man, LeBron James. And he is capable of pulling that off. But what he just did was, not only did LeBron James blast the concept of having a last 2-minute report on games within 5 points and crucial calls, but he blasted the league decision makers who are not forced, as referees are, to make the immediate decisions in game, but they get a whole day and night to sleep on it, to think about it, to let it sink in, and to rule on whether the referees in game made the right or the wrong call. So in this case, they ruled that LeBron should have been given a technical foul. And clearly he should have, and I'm surprised LeBron wouldn't bring this up because he has high basketball IQ. He taunted the opposition. He swung on the rim 3 hard times. It's clearly, blatantly taunting. See, you got it. Make my case for me. Give me another one. Taunt. Take that, and take that.
Skip, what happened in Game 7 when he went to the rack to dunk the ball, and Draymond pushed him out the sky, almost broke the man's wrist. He said, "You know what? I got something for you this time, Draymond."
Okay.
And KD.
All right, so he's rubbing it in, he's piling it on, whatever he's doing. It's a technical foul, and LeBron clearly was ready and willing to take the technical foul just to rub that in on Draymond Green.
Nope.
And then LeBron says, there were hands on bodies the whole game. Yeah, there were hands on bodies, but there weren't feet on feet, as in tripping, because clearly Richard Jefferson tripped Kevin Durant and then hard body fouled him and shoved him into a fall as he went sprawling and had to throw up some crazy fall down 3-point shot. Little old bump, yep. That's a foul. Anybody knew it was a foul. I immediately tweeted it was a foul. Kevin Durant should have been at the line to shoot 2 free throws, 1 to tie, 1 to win the basketball game. But again, LeBron James says no, he couldn't see that one. So in the end, he rips the 2-minute report. I love the 2-minute report, and I always have. It's been in effect, at least it's been made public now for the last year and a half or so. I look forward to seeing it on NBA.com. Again, it's only in games that are within 5 points in the last couple of minutes. And I want to see what the league thought about the crucial calls made in close games that decided the basketball game.
Crucial calls.
Yes, crucial calls, because this league is open and it's forthcoming and it's transparent.
Why? What happened? What official went to jail for what?
Oh, you mean Tim Donaghy?
Oh, so
Okay.
now they're transparent.
Okay, but that happened back in 2007. This didn't start until 2015, so 8 years later, I don't think that was a reaction to Tim Donaghy, but that's just me. I think this is a way that the NBA is trying to set itself apart from the National Football League, maybe even set itself, dare I say, above the National Football League, who is completely clandestine when it comes to these referee calls. We never really know what was going on with that call or what the league thought about it. Occasionally, Dean Blandino will try to clarify, but it always comes across as spin control. And again, it doesn't seem official enough to me. But the point is that the NBA, to me, is gaining in popularity on the NFL. And this is not a huge reason, but it is a reason why. So I appreciate the last 2 minutes. And again, you can't do a 48-minute report because it would be endless and you'd go on and on and on, and nobody wants that. Just the close games, last 2-minute crucial calls.
I 1,000% agree with LeBron. Yes, he has a right to say what he said.
I'm shocked.
And the last and the 2-minute report, hey, hated it and still do hate it. Because what happens, there are so many plays during the course of the game. If you want to be like, say, maybe the NFL says, okay, at 5:13 in the first quarter, there was a missed call. At 3:13 in the third quarter, there was a missed call. Okay, I get it. But when you do this, now remind you, of all the games that were played on Christmas, this was the only game that had a report. So basically what the NBA is telling you is that this was the only game that was important. And what it does,
I didn't look. I don't remember the other games. Were they within 5? I don't remember the final scores.
So I think maybe the Knicks might have got close for a second.
Yeah, it was for a second, but Boston pulled away. I don't know if they qualified for within 5 points.
Right. But here's the thing, though, Skip, because what this report does is that it gives the team that loses and their fans an excuse to say why they lost. What about that report? What's in that report that said they had a 14-point lead with 4 All-Stars on the court at one time? That's not in the report. What about the technical foul that Richard Jefferson got for winking at Kevin Durant? Now, you remember early in the game, Kevin Durant dunked on Kevin Love and stared him down and didn't get a tech. But that's not in there.
By the way, according to the Cavaliers, he said something to Kevin Love that I can't repeat.
So now...
That didn't make it in the report either because that would not be printable. But
so
way to go, Kevin. I like that. I like that not nice Kevin Durant. That's the guy I like when he plays angry.
There are a lot of calls throughout the course of the game, and I get it. It's 48 minutes in the ball game, but to base everything on the final 2 minutes of the game, we should not even been here. If the Warriors are as great as you say they are,
I didn't say they were great.
Whoa, Skip.
I picked them to win that game, but I didn't say they were great. I didn't pick them to win the West.
That's not the first or the last time you're going to be wrong picking against the great Chateau.
Well, I was right the first time. When the Clippers went there, I was right.
The great...
Clippers took them apart. The Clippers.
The Clippers, what are the Clippers? Like they're going to actually do something.
Well, they did something in Cleveland. They won.
We worry about...
There was no 2-minute report on that game because it was way out of hand.
We worry about Golden State.
Okay.
Because that's who we plan on taking down
again. You know who
again.
you should worry about, and you do, is the San Antonio Spurs.
Why are we worried about them?
Because they have your number. They have the king's
we
number.
Beat them.
He's the prince.
Do you remember we took the title from them, beat them in 7 games?
It was Ray Allen beat them.
You know what, Skip? It was funny that you bring that up.
Hold on,
Joey. I'm going to give you an opportunity to refute everything I say.
Whoa. You don't get to claim the heat as we now.
LeBron.
Thank you.
Hold up. Skip, it was funny that you bring that game up because I was doing, I was like, hold on. You do realize that LeBron James in Game 6 had a triple-double. Hold on. You do remember that entering the fourth quarter, the Heat were down 10 points. LeBron James scored 16. He had 2 assists on 3-pointers. They only scored 30. So LeBron James scored or assisted on 22 of the 30 points. Yet you said he choked.
He did choke. He had 3 turnovers in the last 3 minutes, and they were unsightly, shocking, un-LeBron turnovers. I'm not doing it. I'm just telling you the God's truth. In fact, I'm watching the game thinking, what is wrong with him? He's having another meltdown.
What about the 16?
Well, all that matters is this is the last 3-minute report that we're doing here because this was the game on the line.
The man had 22, scored 22. Well, he had scored 16, assisted on 2 threes. So
I always tell you, the problem is he can't close, and he couldn't close that game. He was closing 4, but the problem was
10.
The Spurs kept saying, here, LeBron, I give it back to you.
And he got it. What happened in overtime?
Manu missed a free throw. Kawhi missed a free throw. All they had to do is make one of those free throws, and it's over. And the Heat fans are streaming out into the night already. Am I right, Joy?
It was like 50 people.
Yeah, 50 people streamed into the night.
So, Manu Ginobili, you said the guy that's clutch and you would rather have take a last
free throw.
Hold on.
Missed it. I give it to you.
You said Manu Ginobili, who you said earlier this year when early on we were doing the show, you would rather have Manu take a last-second shot than LeBron.
Oh, definitely.
He missed a free throw.
Definitely.
And all you said, Manu, all he had to do was miss one. And Kawhi Leonard.
He was just a baby then, but he missed it.
You see what you did? You see what you tried to do, Skip?
No, I'm just telling you the truth.
Why don't you tell him that he had a triple-double in that game? And he came back the following night and put up 37.
So LeBron had a chance to tie the game and send it in overtime, but we know what's going to happen when the King takes a last-second three-point shot. You know what's going to happen? It's going to clang. And it clanged hard off the back iron, and it clanged high and hard back to... Wait a second. Tim Duncan's not in the game. I don't know why he's not in the game, but he wasn't. I got issues with Pop on that one. But Chris Bosh gets the offensive rebound and made a sweet dish to the corner.
Hold on.
And guess what? See what I did? Ray Allen made the shot that saved LeBron's legacy in that game. He would have been the GOAT of the game.
You see how you do this?
I know exactly how I do it.
Hold on. You give Tom Brady all the credit for getting Adam Vinatieri in field goal range, but yet you criticize LeBron if he doesn't take or hit the game-winning shot. He got them in position.
LeBron was the one who was going to take the last-second field goal. He was going to have to be Adam Vinatieri, and he's not. He's not clutch.
Let me ask you a question. In the 2 Giants losses, Tom Brady, when he needed a touchdown to win, what happened?
He did it.
He couldn't. Oh, no. wait a minute, Skip.
Yes,
in the
yes,
Super Bowl?
yes.
In the Super Bowl.
The first one?
No.
Oh, 2
against
minutes
the-
ago. 2 minutes ago.
Against the Giants.
Watch.
Against
Get
the
Randy
Giants.
Moss 14-10 Patriots. It's over. And then it's 3rd and long, and Eli is scrambling. He's scrambling. He's going to be sacked. He's going to be sacked. And, oh, my God, he threw it as far as he could throw it, and it's stuck in Tyree's face.
If he hit Randy Moss for the game-winning touchdown and over, how do the Giants get to 3rd and long? You said the game was over. Why are they still playing after
Been
the game?
over. Well, it's just over.
LeBron. I agree with LeBron. This 2 minute is some bull jive. It's some bull diggity.
Yeah.
It's bull flitters. And any other kind of bull that you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
But since we're on FCC airwaves, we can't say. But you and I know this, Skip, because you're throwing the officials under the bus. You're making it seem like the last 2 minutes of a ball game are the only things that are important. And you and I know there are several plays throughout the course of a game, be it football, basketball, or whatever the sport may be, that you could have prevented this outcome from being, because you had a 14-point lead with 4 of the top 20 players in the NBA, and you couldn't get it done.
Not the point.
The point is LeBron is a bad man.
The NBA stood up and came clean and agreed, believe it or not, with me. 2 awful non-calls.
And what
you
LeBron
missed them.
say?
Technical foul, 2-shot foul. That's what it
and what did
should've been.
LeBron say? I don't care what they said.
I told you.
They were hand checking us. Yeah, I got clout. Don't make me
He's
pull
got
rank on
clout.
you, Adam Silver.
Is he Adam's boss?
Don't make me pull
He
rank.
must be. Is that
Hey,
what happened?
You know, hey,
Whew.
don't make me get my ball and go home.
Woof.
Don't make me do it.
So are we to the point where LeBron might go ahead and start his own league?
Hey,
Huh?
I don't want LeBron to do that because because see, if he starts his own league, that means he won't beat down the Heat. If he starts his own league, that means he won't beat down the Warriors.
It's not we anymore.
You know what? I will give you this. Maverick Carter would make a great commissioner of LeBron's league. He would be better than Adam Silver is.
We don't want to start another league because you know why? We want to win the next 2 championships so we get the three-peat. And so you and I can have this discussion in 3 years when I kick my heels up and say, nah, tweet that.
We'll get to that when we talk about Michael Jordan's daughter's response. But that's coming up in a little bit on this show.
It does seem like the players don't like the 2-minute report.
Kevin Durant
doesn't like it.
Kevin
either.
Durant, you funny. Because you know why you like it? Because you cheered so hard for a player that was only good for 2 minutes in a ball game.
It's not going to always benefit Skip's argument. I like it too. I like when they come
Thank
clean
you,
about
Joy.
it. It's transparent.
They don't come clean.
You're always talking about the NFL being inconsistent. If the NFL got adapted to this, it would be a good thing
But
too.
hold on.
But I get why the players don't like it.
If you're going to do a report for every game in the last 2 minutes. So I guess there are no missed calls in the final 2 minutes if the game is 10
Well,
points.
who cares about a 25-point blowout? Well, who cares? What does it matter?
I didn't say 25.
It's within 5.
I mean,
a foul is a foul.
Seconds and 1 point could determine the end of an NBA game. That's why it matters.
What about the 14-point lead they had? Did that matter?
Well, yeah, it did matter, but the refs can't control that. No mercy. Let's talk about the Cowboys. Dez Bryant caught 2 touchdown passes in Monday's win against the Lions. Dez also added a touchdown pass of his own to Jason Witten. Before Monday, Dez only had 1 touchdown in the last 4 games. Hall of Famer Chris Carter is with us. But Shannon, let me start with you. Dez was arguably the best receiver in football back in 2014. So is Dez back?
He wasn't, but okay.
Yeah.
Arguably.
Who was arguing? The fans. Who?
I might, but that's a whole other
Yeah,
story.
okay. No, he's not back. First of all, he's playing Detroit. Their best corner, Darius Slay, was not playing. So he's going up against probably the 3rd or the 4th, probably maybe even the 5th guy that's mainly a special teams guy. He's probably a gunner or the hold-up guy on punt return. This is what I want you to go look at, because I have. Look at the 3 games that he's played against Jack Rabbit, Janoris Jenkins, the New York Giants, and Joe Hayden of the Cleveland Browns. Can I interest you, Skip? 3 catches on 18 targets and a fumble. So when he does this against a Richard Sherman or he does this against a top-level corner, then I will say Dez Bryant is back. Beating a guy that would have never played, had all these injuries not taken place, he's not doing anything. He's making $16 million a year, and he got a touchdown on probably a second or third year guy that's undrafted. So no, he's not back. Jack Rabbit, do this on Jack Rabbit. Do this on Joe Hayden. Do this on Richard Sherman or Patrick Peterson or Akeem Talib, Chris Harris Jr. Then come on and talk to me. Then come talk to me, Dez. CC, go ahead.
You're up.
Well, this is what I do know, that if you had 70 yards in the prime of your career, they wouldn't be having a subject for you on TV. I wonder, is he back? No, we'd be like, no, he ain't back. He ain't done nothing.
70 yards for a number one receiver.
Yeah, 70 yards?
Making 16 a year, 14 million a year.
70 yards? Like 70 yards against special teams player. That's who the guy was. The guy was a special teams player. So is Dez Bryant back? No, Dez did have an injury that significantly hampered him during the season. Is he back? No, because I have higher expectations for him. All right? He caught one fade down the left-hand side. Only reason why he could catch it with one hand because he had his face mask of the other guy in his right hand. All right? He made a good back shoulder. Dak actually made the back shoulder throw. No flag on that one. Dak made an unbelievable throw on the back shoulder fade, which a lot of people are doing. And when you are a primetime player, that's an easy play to make. So is Dez back? No, I'd like to see a lot more variety. And they're going to have to be able to throw the ball down the football field for them to be a special football team in the playoffs. Of the receivers this year, Joy, I know you'll be interested in this because, he might be interested in it because I know he's not interested in it. Among the players, there was only 57 players targeted 90 times this season, all right? Dez is the absolute worst, okay? Target over 90 times, only caught 52% of those passes. The worst in the NFL of those people. The worst. So is he better than he was 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago? Yes. But is he back to elite status? I'll leave that up to other people who know a lot more about receiving than I do.
Hold on. You said, I want to make sure, are you spelling worse, W-O-R-S-E, or W-O-R-S-T?
I just spell it the way the research.
He's the worst. S-T.
He's been the worst.
Not S-E. Because worse means that like somebody could be worse than you. But when you put S-T on worst, I mean, he's the worst.
By the way, Dez Bryant does watch this show, and I'm hopeful that he's watching both of you and listening carefully to what both of you are saying right here, right now.
Well, if you got some advice for him, tell him to don't DM me anymore, because I got something for him, yes.
Uh-oh.
Hey, look here. These two guys up here caught a lot of balls.
I got it.
You're going to DM me after a game telling me watch the tape.
So
That's all I do is watch tape. That's all I do is watch tape.
He took a DM shot at you.
Oh, he tried to. He tried to talk about his family and everything. No problem.
Okay, good.
Okay, if you want to take care of your family when they target you 90 times, catch more of the balls, because that's your job.
By the way, Darius Slay is going to play this Sunday night in Detroit, just for the record. Just wanted you to know that.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, he got to deal with Jordy.
Well, he does. He will be
and
on
Adams.
Jordy. Yep. I think he'll mostly be on Jordy. So the point is that Dez Bryant on Monday night did make, for however it was, a one-handed catch against some nobody DB. But he made a one-handed catch with the other hand on a face mask. Should have been flagged. The other kid did get flagged for interference on the play, but should have been offsetting. But it wasn't. But he caught the ball spectacularly by his standards in the back of the end zone. That was the first this year. I hadn't seen that all year. Then they call a trick play. Didn't love that they exposed it and used it, but he threw a touchdown pass left-handed on the run, as you know, to the great Jason Witten in the end zone. Best tight. I won't go there, but
the great Jason Witten,
the great Jason Witten. Yep. And then to your point, back shoulder bullet from Dak, but Dez caught it like 2014 Dez did. He snatched it, and he's been unsure of himself all year, even on throws like that. I'm like, who are you, and where have you gone, Dez Bryant? So the point is that I'm just going eye test, because I watch these games carefully, every game. I don't miss any snap of a Cowboy game. And that was the first time since 2014 that my eyes told me he was playing fast on Monday night. It looked like he's maybe getting like 92% healthy, because as you know.
Playing fast for Dez is 4.6.
Well, okay.
That's about 4.55.
But running with confidence, like moving like Dez Bryant moved in 2014. Now remember, his best ball in 2014 was the jump ball because Romo would just fling it to him if he thought he had single coverage. He'd just throw it up for grabs and hope he could just out-jump the guy.
That's what he did. Grabs in Green Bay, and Dez didn't hold on to it.
Yeah, and he made the catch that should have
That was not a catch, Skip.
Please stop it. Everybody in the world knows it was a catch.
We invited Dez last year when the NFL was changing the rules on what's a catch. We invited Dez to New York because we were going to change the rule. Dez declined the invitation too. But go ahead.
Boy, you're killing it.
Hold on, why did
go ahead. But go ahead.
Why didn't they get no invite? Woo! And first of all, and when he caught the ball in his dominant hand. So I'm not really impressed when you make a one-handed catch because Dez is left-handed.
Okay.
And CeCe can attest to this. It's easier to catch the ball with one hand in your dominant hand.
I'm talking about baby steps because he had a Jones fracture in 2015. And if you know Jones fractures, and I think you know Jones fractures, it is debilitating. It's hard to get over. And to his credit, he tried to push it and rush it, and it just didn't work. And he was pathetic last year. And then right on schedule early this year, he cracks his tibial plateau below his knee and had to stand and watch for 3 games as somebody named Bryce Butler looked like a pretty good Dez Bryant, actually, like a pretty solid option standing in for Dez Bryant as they won those 3 games without Dez. And the rookie quarterback had already put Dez in his place by publicly saying, I will throw it to him when he's open. I'm not going to, between the lines, I'm saying this. I'm not going to take any of his stuff in the huddle. He's not going to pull me aside and say, hey, throw me, I can do this and that and the other. Throw it up and I'll just go up and get it. Dak doesn't play that game. So he had been humbled, and now he's trying to get back into the flow. And this is all I'm saying is he got back in the flow on Monday night. He actually looked like he felt pretty good about himself on Monday night. You might have...
He playing tomato cans.
Okay, he's not playing tomato cans.
No,
but
the thing about Skip, the last 3 weeks, Dez is running better.
Yeah.
He's got, you can see the bounce in his step. You can see the separation at the top of his routes. Yes, those things are better than he had been during the season, and that was a significant injury earlier in the season.
What did you notice against Jackrabbit, though?
Oh, I know what happened. I know what happened. That wasn't no double coverage. That was that cat coverage. I got this cat, and I'm better than that cat. I'm better than that cat.
And late in that game, my cat beat that cat on a slant, and the ball's right there. He said, let me have it. Let me have it back. Let me have it back.
At some point, Skip, when the ball's in the air, do you realize from an offensive standpoint, when the quarterback throws the ball, when the ball's in the air, you know whose ball that is? It's anybody's ball. But Janoris let Dez know, that's my ball, Dez. And at the point of the reception, the receiver has to make up his mind, that's my ball over anyone's ball. You saw Seattle, they lost the Super Bowl. Why? Because Lockett said, that's not my ball. I don't know who they throwing that to. Malcolm Butler breaks on it, that's my ball. So when the ball is in the air, the ball can be had by anyone. All right?
I got it. No.
He took the ball away from him.
I'm with you. Now Dez Bryant is simply a cog in the Dak attack. You hate when I say that, but that's what he is. He's just a cog, and he got humbled into just being a cog. He's an important cog, and he could be a really important cog in a couple of weeks when they play a game that really counts at home against a really good team, because he might make 4 or 5 catches that determine and dictate the outcome.
No,
of the
they need him
game.
to.
Yeah.
If they're going to be special, Dez is going to have to do
Not against Jackrabbit.
And I don't think that that he's not capable of doing that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not a huge fan as far as Dez, as far as his route running. I believe that he hadn't improved that much. I believe his releases off the ball, they aren't great. His cuts at the top of his route, they aren't consistently good. The in cut, the dig and go, he ran against Minnesota.
Yep.
That's probably one of the best routes he ran in his career. Oh, that's when he DM'd me. Oh, did you see that route? Yeah, I'm at the game. They were actually honoring I was at the game. Yes, I watched all the games, and I watched the all 22 copy.
But wait, didn't the safety, who was it, Harrison Smith,
Harrison Smith
bid on that?
yes.
He just bit like crazy?
Yeah, but it was a great route. I'm just talking about the fundamentals.
Okay.
I have no problem with Dez Bryant as a person. I'm about the fundamentals. And I believe that you should be an expert craftsman as far as separation, routes, releases, and making plays. And when I have 70 yards, I don't expect to be on Skip Bayless' show talking about I'm elite. Oh, I made a comeback. Praise the Lord. 70 yards. Stop.
The thing that I love about the coaches' tape, the all 22, is what teams and players normally look at, is because it doesn't know what color you are. It doesn't know how much you make.
No.
All it does is record what it sees. And when you can tell me, see, I see better than I hear. They keep telling me, but when I cut that tape on and I see Jackrabbit playing U-man football, Who you got? I got this man. You man. You the man I got. And he don't go anywhere. When I see Joe Hayden sit down in that chair in front of him and he doesn't go anywhere.
I got every Cowboys game downloaded on my computer and every other NFL team. So just in case some receiver would say, hey, he don't know what he's talking about. Okay. Sometimes the numbers do lie, but sometimes the numbers tell a horrible truth that people don't want to know. And this season, Dez Bryant has been average. Regardless of what the other Cowboys are doing, Dez Bryant's been average. Now, he can be elite in the playoffs, and they're going to need it for them to finish out this season with a special season.
See, people, when you or I or somebody that played the game and we critique these players, they take it personal. Oh, you can't say Shannon Sharpe didn't do that because Shannon Sharpe did do that. You can't say Shannon Sharpe didn't win because since the merger, Shannon Sharpe got 12 consecutive playoff wins. No other player can say that. So I know what I'm talking about. So you might can fool those fans that, oh, how about them Cowboys? Or you might can fool those fans, how about this? You can't fool me because I watched too much hours. Not the 3 hours that I was watching at practice, but I was going home watching another 3 hours because I needed to know what this guy was doing. And it was like Albert Lewis, I would have my coach give me tape on him covering a receiver because he's not going to cover me like people cover tight ends. I need to know what his strengths and what his weaknesses were. So was he a right-hand press guy and to open up? Was he a left hand or was he just going to try and feather?
Right.
Where he's just going to be in front of me but try and dance because he didn't want me to get my hands on him. Guys, what we're trying to do is we're trying to offer an insight to people that's watching at home that's why I don't watch the sound because I don't need to hear because I need to know. I know what I'm looking for. We're trying to give the people at home an inside glimpse because I'm not only concerned about the end results, I need to know why the results happened. And see, I can tell you why the results happened. That was a bull jive route because you ran the loop, you let the corner run you to the sideline, and now the quarterback basically got to drop the ball out of the sky in your arm. Give him a place to throw the football. But quarterback, you got to make a better throw also. You see the corner on his upfield shoulder. Why are you throwing it up there?
So wait, aren't you going to throw the tape of Shannon Sharpe making a great runner?
No.
Wait, come on. I want to see the tape. I want to see 84.
This is what you tell the people. My cement is dry, okay? They already got it.
Got the partner
Go to George Hallis Avenue. They got everything in
maybe
there.
Maybe Dez is just looking for approval from you because he looks up to you.
No. You just don't get the stamp of approval unless you get it.
I've done some work with Dez and his people and everything. Dez wants someone to be a fan. He wants someone to pat him on the back. But the truth of the matter is, as far as people, they targeted 90 targets this year. Dez Bryant is the worst in the NFL.
One last point. Has Dez Bryant not had issues publicly with me this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, several. Just for the record.
Well, good for him.
Yeah.
Good. He can throw us all in there.
Yeah.
No problem.
Hey,
I don't want to be involved.
I'm not president of nobody's fan
For
club.
me.
I'm going to call it like I see it.
Matter of fact, Joy, I saw you, and based on your background, your family, your athleticism, I think you can run a better comeback than
I
him.
do not. I cannot do that. Get me in trouble, Chris. No mercy. We are a little more than 50 hours away from the college football playoff kicking off. Shannon, who is the best coach in the playoffs? What are we looking for?
Where the hidden cameras? Y'all got me on candy camera. Y'all trying to punk
There's
me.
cameras everywhere.
Y'all trying to
but
punk
nobody's
me.
trying to punk you.
Stop, Joy. Hold on. I have to pick between Coach Nick Saban, Coach Dabo Swinney, Coach Urban Meyer, Coach Chris Peterson.
That's
as the
correct.
best coach of those four.
That's a great question. Hard one to answer.
Skip,
Who you got?
You know I got to say, Nick, this man is, first of all, it's okay. This man is a Mount Rushmore quarterback, a head coach, if he never coaches another game. If he stops today, Mount Rushmore would probably be Coach Bear Bryant, Coach Nick Saban, Coach Frank Leahy. You like Tom Osborne, Dr. Tom Osborne.
Yep.
You like maybe Barry Switzer, maybe one of the USC, John McKay, John Robinson. Maybe you like one of those. But he's a Mount Rushmore head coach currently. Skip, 4 titles in 7 years, 9 straight 10-win seasons. Do you know this, Skip? This season, he's beaten 8 top 25 teams by an average of 24 points. Since Nick Saban arrived in Tuscaloosa, if you name a defensive stat, his team is #1 in it. You won't score in D? Number one. You won't pass D? Number one. Rush D? Number one. Non-offensive touchdowns? Number one. Takeaways? Number one. Name something on defense. It's in Tuscaloosa.
Giving up 40 points in some games. Number one.
If he gave up 1,000 points, he would still be number one. That's how they shut people down. And put some respect on the man's name. Skip.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to disrespect the man because Urban Meyer is a better all-around football coach than Nick Saban, who is a little overrated, dare I say, thanks in part to you, large part to you. Because let's look at what Urban Meyer has done. Just since he arrived at Ohio State, he has the best record in all of college football. But let's go back to Utah. He led Utah to an undefeated season in 2004. Undefeated, and they went on and won the Fiesta Bowl. Yep. Then at Florida, he won 2 national championships, as we all know, in 06 and 08. Way to go, Tim Tebow. And then at Ohio State, he starts off 12-0 undefeated, but they couldn't go to a bowl that year. 12-2 the next year. 14-1 national championship. 12-1 Fiesta Bowl win, and 11-1 now, and they obviously have a chance being one of the final 4 teams left. And meanwhile, we look across the table at Nick Saban, and we say, gee, he needs Lane Kiffin to call his plays. Urban calls his own plays. Urban runs his own offense.
How many plays did Tom Landry call?
Wait a minute.
Coach Landry, how many plays did he call?
Oh, all of them.
So Bill Belichick doesn't call any plays. Is he a great coach?
Yeah.
Coach Belichick.
Defense.
He doesn't call any of them. He don't have no play sheet.
All right, but we're talking about, again, Bill Belichick. I've told you it's Tom Brady over Bill Belichick. I've told you that from the start. So that's a whole nother argument.
We'll debate that one another day.
He needed Lane Kiffin to turn around his offense, and now he's going to put the offense in the hands of Steve Sarkisian. So wait a second. Urban Meyer calls all his own offensive plays and runs his own scheme, but Nick Saban's specialty is the defensive side of the football, which has actually been his frailty at Alabama, because I look at all these games, and we don't have time for me to run down the long laundry list of disasters, but 45 to Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl. I'm just going over the last 3 or 4 years here. 44 to Auburn and Nick Marshall at quarterback. He's now a special teams player for the Jets. 43 to Ole Miss at Tuscaloosa. Ole Miss, Chad Kelly scored 43, then 43 to Ole Miss again this year, and 42 to Johnny Manziel, and 42 to Urban Meyer's offense, 230 yards to Zeke in that game, and then 40 to Clemson in last year's national championship game, and managed to outscore them with some special teams run backs and the trick play and the onside, blah, blah, blah. Really, that's your specialty, and you give up so many 40-point games just in the last 4 years? I got to tell you, that's being a little overrated, because I think Urban Meyer in his specialty is stronger than Nick Saban in his specialty.
Since Coach Meyer has been at the University of Ohio State, how many national championships have Coach Saban won since he's been at Ohio State? Remember, Nick Saban ran him out of Florida because he was sick. The doctors told him to get away from coaching, but somehow they had a special kind of remedy in medicine up at Ohio State that that healed him for what was going on at the University of Florida. Coach Saban ran him out of the SEC.
After he won 2 national championships?
Ran him out.
Ran him out?
Ran him out.
I think he just needed a year off to refuel.
You need a year off to refuel because, they got a special type of a hospital up at Columbus. Heard they got great hospital, great doctor's care up there. You named all those games, and even with all those games, he's still number 1 in scoring, D.
This year
number 1 in.
Now, this year.
Since he's been there, if you add the totality of it, there's not a defensive stat that he's not number 1. 4 national champions, 7 years. What other coach can say that? Can Urban Meyer say that?
No, but he's a better all-around football coach.
How?
I just told you how. He calls his own plays. He runs the offense. What's Nick run?
So let me see. He doesn't need to run anything. Coach Belichick doesn't call plays. There are a lot of great coaches that didn't call plays. Did Chuck Noll call offensive plays? No. That doesn't mean he's – see, this is what you try to do. You try to say, well, if he was so great, why don't he call plays? His job as a head coach isn't necessarily to be hands-on. His job is to get the guys, put them in place, you hire assistants, and you let them do their job. He doesn't micromanage because you know why? He says, I done laid the foundation. Troops, hit the field and go get busy.
He's going to miss Lane Kiffin.
That's why we got Sarkisian.
We?
Alabama.
It's we.
Hey, McElwain.
Always
He
we.
went to Colorado State. Did they miss him? Lane Kiffin, he's going to Florida Atlantic.
I think you might be a front runner, Shannon.
No.
I'm not sure, but I think you might.
I'm a runner. I'm a winner.
No mercy. This is the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast, where we're delivering you an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the biggest topics of the day's show. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, like us on Facebook at Undisputed on FS1, follow on Twitter at Undisputed, and catch us at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, Monday through Friday on FS1. You can find us on channel 219 on DirecTV, 150 on Dish. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. We have to leave all the debates there for today, but we're back tomorrow when we'll be joined by Joel Klatt to help us get ready for the college football playoff semifinal games this weekend.
Fox Sports, one of one.